Alright guys, so as promised, I'm back with the second bonus episode, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Ordering Chaos update. Now this update brought a few different things, most notably the new desert dungeon, which is Sailen, the lower city. Now, when the devs made this dungeon and they said they tested it out and posted on the forums, they said it takes around 40 minutes with their pro teams, and that's actually a huge lie. For the last few dungeons, they said it takes around 40 minutes, and we were able to skip the mobs and just run through and get to the bosses, so it took less time. But for this one, you can't actually do that because the Scythian mobs, the Scythian guards, they do the main poison, and there's groups of them, and they do a lot of poison and a lot of damage, so you can't actually run through, or either your monk will die or your tank will die. I've done it like maybe 3 times successfully, but then if someone on your team dies and you can't res them, you have to bring them back. So this dungeon is located in the Great Desert, and right here in this video you can see me showing the entrance, and it looks like they did a really good job on this. There's a lot of good designing that they did here. This was actually where a mountain used to be, because I was walking around here looking at the map that they posted on the forum for the new dungeon, and I went to that area and it was just a mountain, and so they removed some of the mountain to add this huge cathedral palace type thing. So when you walk up to the entrance, there's a little portal just like the one in Noswa's prison. For this first part of it, I showed me with a pickup group, and we went through and just cleared some of the mobs. I had to stop recording after that for a while, and you can see the mobs, they do a lot of damage, especially the minotaurs. Those do little, you know, the last boss in Relic's Key, Allure Regil, that's what I call him. He does the little black circles, and these minotaurs do those black circles, but the damage is much more concentrated and it's a lot faster. So if you're a monk, which I am, you want to stay away from him and try to heal the tank on its own, or if you have prayer cooled down, you can use it against the minotaurs. So the main mobs are minotaurs, Scythians, and goblins. The goblins are actually really easy. They don't take too long. There's just this goblin king and he has a lot of health. And these mobs drop these new potions, and these potions are used on the first boss of the dungeon, which is Tight Helm. That's what I call him. I don't know, I may have pronounced it weirdly, but so I got another group. This was some pickup people and some people I know, and we decided to do the first boss. So we cleared some of the mobs first in order to get those potions. And then we did the same thing that you used to be able to do for Cosmo and for Capitular in Aristar's Temple, which is where the ranger pulls the boss and quits the team and you can invite him back. So we had the ranger pull the boss, quit the team, and Tighthelm did the damage on, it's usually the tank who does the damage on, but sometimes on the mage or monk. Mostly on the mage in my experience. So he starts doing a little damage from afar, and once he gets to the entrance, then he starts doing the real damage. So basically if you're a monk, you're going to want to use Ring of Healing a lot and Prayer of Pure Faith when you can. So he does this thing called, I'm going to call it the ground shaking move, and he says the ground is shaking, your end is imminent or something. And at that point I usually use prayer just in case the tank doesn't use the potions that you get from the mobs, because the potions actually stun him for like a second to prevent him from doing that. So when you're hitting 0 damage on him, or he says the ground is shaking, then you want to use the potion, and hopefully you won't have any damage done to you if you do it quick enough, but it usually takes 2 or 3 of his little AoE damages to actually kill any of the teammates. Usually you kill the monk more unless you're wearing stamina gear, but if you wear stamina gear, you usually lose your prayer bonus, so I only use that in PvP. But anyways, there's another stage that he does, which is stunning the whole team, and that's at the end. Oh, I almost forgot about the bugs that he spawns. Now, these bugs are a lot easier to fight at the entrance because they take a little longer. He says, "Go ahead, my little heroes," and that's your indication that the bugs are coming. They do around 4,000 damage. I've heard a little bit more. So if you're a monk, you should be able to barely survive that. But what you want to try to do is that if you're at the entrance, is try to get a ranger to snipe them or a mage to AoE them before they get to the team, because they can kill your mage pretty easily, especially at the end. Because it's a lot better at the entrance, because there's 2 bugs that come at a time that do 4,000 damage each, and if you're unlucky enough, you could get 8,000 damage on you. So they come a little slower, so you're able to heal your team before the next one comes, and usually you kill the boss before all of the bugs appear. So once you kill him, and he does the stunning during like the last 1/5 of his life, then the 2 bugs come, and once you kill him, there's just random bugs that keep coming because they were slow. But if you were fighting him where you're supposed to fight him, you'd be getting a lot more damage, and that's when you usually need 2 monks. I've only been able to do him at the platform where he appears with 2 monks, and at the entrance it's a lot easier. I can just do it with 1 monk, which is me. So he's not too hard of a boss. At first no one could beat him, but once you get the hang of it, he's actually pretty easy. I think I've killed him around 20 times at the entrance, and the main loot that I got was a new monk staff, and that has, I believe, 23 wisdom, 23 stamina, and 63 healing. That's a little less healing than the soul soothing staff, and this one's called the dying power staff. And I like it a lot better for PvP. For dungeons, because of a little less healing, it's not very effective. I'd recommend it in Relic's Key, which is easy. Speaking of Relic's Key real quick, I wanted to mention that actually there's some new changes in it. The main one that a lot of people are talking about is that rune drops are dropping now. And by rune drops, I mean rune gear is actually dropping on every single boss. I've seen it all the time. So let's say you're facing the first boss who does the little AoE damages. He's the easiest one. He can drop any of the rune gear. It doesn't matter if it's head or shoes, which recipes used to drop for, and actually rune armor recipes used to drop in here too. Now it's all classes, all gear can drop in this dungeon. So a lot of people are farming the first boss and even Kermode. The first boss only takes 2 exhausts to beat because of the new exhaust system. I should mention that. The new exhaust system, each boss has a certain amount of exhaust, so you can take your time inside the dungeon. Instead of wasting time running around and dying a few times, you only gain exhaust when you kill the boss, and it's a set amount of exhaust. So if you killed Tighthelm in 5 minutes, it would still give you 17 exhaust because that's his known exhaust time. I'm not sure what the other bosses are. I know that I think Kermode is around 9-ish. I'm not sure. But I think this is a lot more effective way to run the dungeon now because of the new exhaust system. Also in Relic's Key now, there are epics that are dropping off of all of the bosses. This has been reported on the forums. The first boss is now dropping Swamp Fury, at least. He may be dropping Rajiel's staff, we're not really sure yet. But that would kind of be stupid because it's Rajiel's staff, and that boss is not Rajiel's. So, yeah, so a lot of people are farming that boss, and apparently the drop rate is increased a little. So you could do the first boss 50 times, which would equal 100 exhaust because there's only 2 exhaust, and you're bound to get at least 1 epic for that day. That's what I've been hearing. So If you are a brand new level 60, this is great because you can get rune gear for free and you can get epics a lot more easily. So also in the new dungeon, there's a new quest in Desert, which you can do, and it gives you a wand, which can transform you into an evil eye, which looks like one of the flying dragon pet things, and also a dummy, which a lot of people know from the starting zone in Arcadian Forest, which some like to brag about on getting high crits on the forum. So you can transform into a dummy. You can't really do anything, you basically just stand there, but it looks kind of cool. I like the evil eye more because I think you can actually fly around, which is pretty cool. And in order to get this wand, you have to kill these 4 bosses and get their cards. The bosses are in the middle of the dungeon, and you have to beat the first boss in order to unlock the summoner. And the summoner is a little portal. You see these little portals all around. I don't really think they mean anything except for the portal that summons this secret boss. And it's usually a different one each time. There's a fire boss, a rock boss, there's a goblin boss named Edison, and he does like little lightning effects. And there's a rooster, which is the one I still haven't gotten. I've gotten all the cards twice now, and the rooster has not appeared. I know a few people who have gotten the wand because they got lucky and got the rooster, and apparently he's actually the easiest boss, but he's the hardest to get. So you're going to want to summon those bosses and get the wand, which is pretty cool. I'm still working on it, and once I get it, I'll show you guys what the evil eye looks like. I'm not really interested in the dummy, but I will show you guys that if I ever get this goddamn rooster. And finally in the dungeon, after you get through all the mobs, which takes at least an hour to get through the mobs and the first boss and the secret boss. Some say it takes 2 hours, but if you have a good team, it may take less, a lot less. Once you get to the final boss, which is this guy who's tied up by vines named Ka Anyata, you have to apparently kill the vines really quickly, which do a lot of AoE damage, and then you get to and then he steps off his little island and he starts cloning himself and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. I personally have not beaten him, not even on normal, because I haven't actually run the dungeon on normal. I'm sure I could beat him, but on Legend barely anyone has beaten him. I think only a few groups have been able to do it, and yeah, Notorious shared their strategy for it with all 4 classes on the forum, but I mean, even following that strategy would be really, really challenging. So in this video, you're only seeing me kill the first boss and not even the secret boss or the final boss, but I just wanted to tell you guys about this new update. I don't want to make this bonus episode too long. Oh, also, my mage is level 39 now, so I'm going to try to level him up to 60 in the next few weeks, and hopefully I'll be able to get geared in Relic's Key, and maybe do some dungeon runs and dungeon clearing. I can give you guys more than just a monk's point of view. And also, I may start running with my warrior on Arcadian Forest. He's a battle warrior. And I may start to get some tank gear, because when the rune gear first came out, I stupidly bought the battle gear because I was anticipating PvP arenas, but yeah, those aren't in the foreseeable future. So I'm going to have to go with tank for now, and I'm going to respec and get some Relic's Key gear. That's what we're going to call it now instead of rune gear. So yeah, I will be showing more dungeon runs, having discussion with more guest stars on the new dungeon and other dungeons on episode 21 and season 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in a few weeks.